Hello folks and welcome to another Legend Scale Transformers review. Today we're going to be taking a look at our first product by Cang Toys. This is CY-MINI03 Firmini, who is a stylized version of Predacon Divebomb. Now, Cang Toys first appeared on the third-party Transformers scene with parts for a masterpiece scale Predacon, but recently they've also revealed plans to produce a downscaled version. And this Divebomb is the first of these downscaled Predacons that they've released. Now, I don't think they've shown any of the other downsized designs for the other characters, so I'm not sure how far off they'll be from this guy. Anyway, let's take a look at what we've got here. First things first, the box is very nice, very shiny. Corner of mine got a bit dented in postage, which is a bit of a shame, but what can you do? I wouldn't usually show this, but the inner packaging is this foam insert, as opposed to the usual plastic clamshell you would get with, I've never got packaging like this with a Legend scale figure at least. First impressions matter, and from the box alone I can say Cang Toys have definitely made a good first impression on me. But we aren't here for the box, we are here for this guy. Now, if you're familiar with the Cang Toys masterpiece versions of these guys, you'll know that their designs are quite stylized. And this mini Divebomb is no different. He's got a few minor aesthetic changes from the larger version of himself. For example, the head has less of a bird hood on it. I think there's possibly some influence from Zoids in these designs, and for Divebomb in particular, Gundam, what with the massive wings. He's a lot less blocky than his G1 incarnation. He's got a lot of sort of these curved edges instead of big cubic shapes, and then sharp points. So he looks a lot more streamlined than he did back in the 80s. The head sculpt is a little bit strange looking to me. I don't know, I think it's maybe the eyes. Something about the size or shape of the eyes is a little bit off. But it's nothing major. Otherwise, pretty good. As you probably already noticed, he's got a lot of this shiny gold paint, especially on those wings. And those are actually translucent if you shine light through them. I don't really know if you can see it there. And then he's got gold highlights pretty much everywhere. And then some metallic red. You can see the shinier bits are painted metallic. And of course, some silver with a lot of these little tiny printed decals. And they kind of feed into that sort of Gundam aesthetic. If you know what I mean. Right, the main body is mostly moulded from this red and or dark grey plastic. And with all this paint, he really does have quite a high-end look to him. Which is more than I can say for some other recent releases from more established third-party Legends companies. Another thing that really impressed me about this guy was how well articulated he is. Now, I wasn't expecting much, given that he is downscaled from a larger figure. I figured he'd probably be quite simplified, but it seems that Cang Toys really made the effort to keep him very poseable. Starting from the top, the head is on a ball joint and a hinge. Shoulders are on ball joints, and then that pad is on a hinge as well to give you that freedom of movement. Biceps rotate. We have a brilliant double jointed elbow there. There's a very, very stiff wrist swivel, so I find if you bring in an accessory for that extra leverage, it makes that easier to take advantage of. But you just need to watch that hand doesn't pop out. Sometimes if you apply too much force, it will disconnect from the little hinge holding it in place. Yeah, you can also untab the wrist from the forearm for a little bit of that hinge movement. The wings, let's see, they have two hinges at the base, one where it connects to the body, and one right after it. There is a ball joint, which is where you get most of the movement options, and then two more hinges. They sort of allow you to fold it around for storage, and then each feather can splay out like so on the hinges. And then also this little feather, it's on its own hinge, goes up and down. So you can have quite a range of options for these for some splayed wing poses. Due to the fact that Divebomb forms the arm of Predacon, he has a combiner elbow in the middle of his body, which serves as an ab crunch in his case. And he also has not one, but two waist rotations. One above that ab crunch, and then one below. You see it in this transform element. And then the hip skirts all hinge up, including this one at the back, and that gives you a full range of the hips, which are on ball joints. The hips comparatively are a little bit loose, especially given how heavy his wings and upper body is. So I might tighten those up a bit. It's not frustrating, but it's something to keep in mind. We have a thigh rotation and a knee bend. Now there's a point where it becomes quite stiff because it has to lock in place like this for one of the modes. And on its own, kind of a meh knee. What you can do is press in on this shin panel, that'll unlock another joint, and that gives you a deeper knee bend. It might look a little bit strange because I think this is not intended to be a knee, it's for the combiner arm mode, but it gives you some more dynamic posing options. Then the feet, or the ankles, have a hinge, and then a ball joint gives you a little bit of spread, and then the heel and toes are on hinges. He does come with a few accessories. We've got this sword, silver and gold. That is indeed silver paint. It's quite durable paint because I've been plugging that handle in and out and none's come off, so that's a plus. And then this rather unique looking blaster with 4 barrels. And both of these will combine with the weapons of the other Predacons to form large weapons for the combined mode. Let's sort of see how the sword might fit together with another weapon, but don't know how that's going to work entirely just yet. The wings come detached out of the box, so I guess you could consider those an accessory, and they detach for the combined form. But I guess you could display him without them if you want. Maybe they can be given to Razorclaw when he comes out. I'm not sure how they'll attach to him. And then the last accessory is the combiner hand, but we'll take a closer look at that when he's in arm mode. Size comparisons. Let's bring in some other Season 3 G1 Decepticons. I think Predacons were Season 3. Here is Iron Factory, Galvatron, Scourge, and Cyclonus. So you can sort of see those guys are very similar heights, so he fits in well with the Iron Factory. In terms of his aesthetic as well, I think he works better with these guys than he would with more G1 oriented Magic Square or New Age stuff. So if you collect Iron Factory, he's quite a good fit. Here he is with Transform Element Black Arachnia. It's alright, Black Arachnia, he's got enough waist bevel for both of yous. There he is with Hasbro Kingdom, Wingfinger and Vertebrake. And last but never least, Iron Factory Runabout and the Lego Stormtrooper. To transform him into bird mode, first thing we want to do is open up the chest, tuck the head away, then open up the forearms and tuck the hands away. You can then flip down the shoulder pads and we'll open up the wings. Now, flip the bird head up and around, rotate 180 degrees, and we flip the arms up. We want to fold them back into this space. You want to make sure you have the wings hinged down out of the way before rotating these around. And you want to locate these little tabs on the undersides of the arms, and they will slot into either side of that combiner peg there. not a very strong connection, so that might pop out over the course of the transformation, so just keep an eye on that. Rotate each thigh 180 degrees, and then you will want to bend the knees until they click into place, like so. Then rotate the feet 180 degrees on their ball joints, and we'll then pull the tail down and open it out. So here we have the bird mode. I'm not sure if there's a specific kind of bird he's supposed to be, presumably a bird of prey of some description. Obviously not a very complex transformation, but I think it works pretty well. The fact that he's not as blocky as his G1 self definitely works to this mode's advantage. The bird body is sort of a more natural shape than it would be otherwise. Arms aren't very well hidden in the back there, but it is what it is. Keep in mind what this is based on. His wing and leg articulation carries over from robot mode, and then the bird head has a hinge at the base of the neck, ball joints, and a little opening beak. Now, there doesn't appear to be any weapon storage in this mode. Now, I've tried using this port and this peg. The blaster fits in the port well enough. You can kind of have it in like that, have it tucked under the wing. But I thought that maybe this little hole on the sword would work with the peg, but the peg's too big for the hole, so it doesn't work, unfortunately. So yeah, not really any, and no official place to store them, obviously. So you can do what you like with those. So for some more size comparisons, there he's with Iron Factory Galvatron, Transform Element Black Arachnia, Kingdom Wingfinger and Vertebrake, and then Iron Factory Run Amok and the Lego Stormtrooper. To get him ready for combining, we first need to remove the wings, and we'll set those to the side. At the minute there's nothing we can do with them, because they'll go on Predacon's back, and the torso bot Razor Claw has not been released yet. So once you've done that, you then want to bring the arms back around here and bend the elbows up so that these little tabs in the wrist go into these little slots in the shoulder. And then once you've done that, you want to rotate these up and tab them into the sides of the chest. Bring the bird head down and use this little protrusion on the bottom of the chin to line it up with the top of the chest there. Unbend the knees, and then what we want to do is press on the top of these to unlock the bottom joint, and that will instead lock into the top knee joint instead. Then move these back, like so. Locate this tab on the heel, that will tab into the back of the leg, and then you can finish flipping these all the way up and tab the legs together nice and securely. Now take this tail, close it up. We want to tab that into these slots on those panels. That will lock this lower arm section together. Securely, the last thing to do here is move these side skirts down in the double hinge. Now we want to orient the elbow correctly for the combiner arm. So Divebomb is supposed to be Predacon's left arm, so we want the shoulder to face this way. There's the elbow, so we'll bring it around here, and we want the lower arm to face like this. So now you can bring in the combiner hand and locate the wide end of this slot, and that should just slide on nice and securely. So there we have the combiner arm. We've got a little hinge and a swivel at the peg there, very stiff though. Bicep rotation, your elbow, another rotation. And then at the wrist, you have a ball joint. Each finger is on a ball joint, and the thumb, and all the digits have 2 hinges each. So we can make a pretty good fist. That's a nicely articulated hand. The arm mode is pretty solid, everything ties together nicely. One thing I should mention is that Divebomb doesn't have to be the left arm. The way he's set up, you can simply rotate and then rotate. Out of the box, his hand came with the thumb plugged into this ball socket instead of this one, so he was actually set up for to be the right arm out of the box, but I swapped that over so that he could be accurate to his original incarnation. But yes, you do have that option for some reason you want it to display him as the right arm. There isn't really anything you can do with this combiner hand in the other modes. There's nowhere to store it, and in the Masterpiece version, this hand as well as the other one that comes with the other arm would be able to combine together and form a little crab drone for when you're not using the combiner hands. Although it doesn't look like that's going to be the case with this one. It just seems like a pretty basic piece. Maybe there'll be somewhere to store it, like with the Iron Factory busts. Maybe Cang Toys can do something like that. Who knows? If I bring in Iron Factory Blast Off, you can see that these arms are pretty similarly sized. If Iron Factory Predacon is anything to go by, I think he will scale pretty well with the sort of more modern third-party Legends combiners. You know, with your New Age Devastator, your Magic Square Menazor. He probably won't be far off that sort of scaling region. So there we have Divebomb, the first Legend scale figure from Cang Toys. I am really looking forward to the rest of this set. If this guy's anything to go by, it's going to be really good. The production quality of this guy is just brilliant. I tell you, if Cang Toys keeps this up, they'll be giving Iron Factory a run for their money. Well, that's all from me for now. If you're new to the channel and you've made it this far, make sure to check out some of the other reviews on here. Thank you for watching and goodbye.